Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Finding Strength. I'm down here in San Diego, California with Kristin and Donnie Rhodes. Kristin just got done training. Donnie was out there coaching her and being the moral support. And I was obviously recording. So kind of tell me a little about yourself and your strongman background. And I think you won 7 America's Strongest Women and 3 World Championships.
Yeah, 7 America's Strongest Women titles and then 3 World Championship titles.
Awesome.
And I have the world record log press right now at 250.
250
So
pounds.
I've had it for 4 years, almost 4 years, and no one's broken it yet. So
You gonna break it again?
I'd like to. We'll see if I get the opportunity.
Tell me a little about your history in strongman, because you've been competing for a long time.
Well, I competed in my first show in July
of 06.
06, and I liked it, and I started training with a group of guys, and I told Kristin, you got to come do this, you'll enjoy it. So she did her first show up in Santa Cruz.
In August of 06.
Yeah, did her first show up there, and she won her first show, and it's been a crazy ride ever since then. You know, I was competing off and on throughout that time with Kristin, and just decided that I didn't want to get beat up anymore. Too many injuries, and I have a full-time job too that I'm happy with. So helping Kristin, coaching her has really been a full-time thing for me for the past 3 years.
Don't you love it?
It's good. I'm a husband, coach, sports psychologist, loader, deloader, cleaner-upper, whatever you want to call it. I'm just kidding.
All of the above. All of the above.
So, what are your plans coming up? Now you're a pro strong woman finally after
10 years.
10
It only took
years.
10 years. So now they have the pro class. So now I'm considered professional. So I just won my first pro show last month in North Carolina. And then my next coming up shows will be Strongest Woman in the World at the Olympia. They're also hosting at the same time America's Strongest Woman. It'll be the first time it's ever as a pro show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping to win the first pro America's Strongest Woman. And then World's Strongest Woman will be in, I believe it's December sometime.
Okay.
And then my last show would be the Arnold Pro Show. As long as I qualify, it would be the Arnold Pro Show in March, and then that's it. I'm out. So it'll be 11 years in August, starting my 12th year. So I'll be like 12 and a half years in at that time. So it's a long time.
So you're gonna do the typical strongman retirement where you go to like jiu-jitsu or something? I feel like that's like the usual step is like strongman, then jiu-jitsu or MMA.
No, I don't know.
At least on the guy side, I've seen that a lot.
No, I'm contemplating powerlifting, set some records because I have some pretty big lifts in the squat, the deadlift, and the bench. So I think it'd be kind of cool to maybe hit a little powerlifting. Maybe it won't be so hard on the body. But we'll see. I'm just kind of up in the air at this point.
Yeah, they hate that, by the way, when you tell powerlifters that you're doing powerlifting because you need a break from strongman. You get a little rest. Yeah.
Maybe I should say that. But
no, that's fine. I did a little bit, and I was like, I just needed a break from strongman. So tell me a little about your training. Kind of how do you guys set that up? I know you're coaching her a lot out there. You do most of the programming.
Well, I used to do all the programming, and then we had somebody else do the programming for a while, and then I started doing all the programming again. And then we went back because it gets difficult coaching and programming for your spouse. Mm-hmm. A lot of arguments out there, and then trying to keep them from coming inside the house. Yeah. So I was introduced to Mike Westerling.
Okay,
I talked to him on the phone and then said, "Hey, talk to me about what you're doing." And it's 4 years now.
no, 7.
7 has it?
Since
See, it goes
2010.
by quick. So 7, but he does all the programming on paper, and I talk back and forth with him a lot. Kristin does too.
After every workout, I message
talk to him, and then have a lot of input with the program itself. He does the primary footprint and the stuff, and we bounce stuff off of him. And then when it's here, if we don't like it, then we have a "don't tell Mike" clause, or we change it and then we talk to him about it, and then he modifies it later. He's really good about modifying it. But typically, right now, we just do 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Some basic gym lifts with strongman one day. We've changed it up. I don't want to get too much into detail how much we've changed it up, but over the years when she started using Mike, it was really successful. But then as the sport's grown,
Yeah.
and the other competition has changed and gotten stronger, we've had to modify things to accommodate Kristin with her work,
Yeah.
our family stuff, and just what everybody else is doing, kind of be one step ahead of them. So we've modified a lot in the past 7 years.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of schedule? You're doing 3 days a week now. Were you doing more 4 or 5 times a week back then, or has it always been?
When we first started, it was 4.
Well, back in like 06 to 09.
Yeah,
we
4
did
4
days
days,
a
and then
week.
we went to 4. But what we were doing, we were doing more of our events mixed in with our gym lifts. So on the weekends, we'd maybe hit 2 events conditioning.
Okay.
Instead of the old school where you trained during the week like a power lifter, and then you hit all 5 events. You hit a full contest every weekend.
Yeah.
We kind of got away from that because the lower volume was really successful for Kristin, and now that like I said, these women are getting stronger. We have to do different things to stay ahead of them. Not so much a ton more volume. It's just the way that we're doing it's different. So we'll have primarily gym lift day, and then another mixed day, and then maybe a full event day.
Okay. Huh. That's interesting. So you're not. So you're doing a lot more events than you used to do, we would say, or
At one
you're just
time.
spreading at one time.
Yeah, they used to be spread out through the course of the week. But now, depending on what the contest is, we also modify it because a faster run contest, you have to train differently for.
Yeah.
For like a pro show, like now these pro shows or World's Strongest Woman or whatever, there's, they're running it where you're going like every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas before in the past, I could get away with training, one event on Tuesday, one event on Thursday, and maybe 2 on the weekends. Because I'd have an hour or plus between events. But now it's running so fast, I've learned I have to basically condition my body to that. So it's kind of been a progression. Just like you said, just based on what type of contest they are, like how fast they're going to run and all that. I just have to make the adjustments.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, there's a lot of different things going on, and I don't want to bore you with too many details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also nutrition in
Yeah.
between. Tonight, you saw I gave her something to drink, but typically we're on it a little more when we're not talking and socializing with what she's eating during training, because she has to make sure that she does the same when she competes.
Yeah.
Where I've seen people, I look at them and shake my head, where they take a bag of gummy bears and a bunch of Gatorade, and basically just a bunch of sugar.
Yeah.
And they crash. They're
Yeah.
not having the proper nutrition. And at this level, there really isn't a room for.
Yeah, it's a make or break it type deal right there.
So.
Yep. So now I've done a little nutrition in the past, but now I've been pretty much dialed in because I found that was kind of like trying to like make sure there's no missing links and everything, because at this point I cannot make mistakes. You make mistakes, you're done. So I have to make sure that everything is spot on.
Speaking of that, at this point, you said you make mistakes, you're done, because has the competition just gotten so much better?
Oh, it's insane.
It's insane.
I used to be here and the girls were here. Now they're here. And it's like, oh my God. So yeah, it's definitely, now I have to be way more serious. I have to make sure I'm doing everything right, because if I don't, I'm going to get beat, and I don't want to get beat. So I've kind of had to, like I said, just dial everything in, and he laughs at me, but it's like, I hate meal prepping and I hate all that stuff, but I know I have to do it in order to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Because if I slip up one mistake, like at World's Strongest Women this year, I made a mistake and I lost, and I was like really upset. But it was my own fault, you know. I made a mistake, and it is what it is. But I take everything like that as a learning lesson. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why did I make the mistake, and how can I change that for next time? So,
how have you seen, since you've been in on the women's side, how has it evolved? Like, kind of what has that evolution been that you noticed?
So for like my very first America's Strongest Woman was in 06, and there was like not that many of us, like 8 of us or 5 of us.
Well, they had an elite class, I think they called it.
Yeah.
And then they had the amateur women.
But parking lots, not very many women. There was like not very many of us, and every year there's progressively gotten more women. And it was funny because for years and years, because being number one for so long, I'd get a call from the head of NAS, one of them, and they'd be like, all right, what are you hitting? 185. Okay. So like they would kind of like use what I was hitting in training as a judgment for like what they were going to set, like the national level contest at, because they were always kind of like following. It felt like they were kind of like following me, and like whatever I was hitting, they would kind of like get a little heavier and heavier every year.
Yeah.
So it's just been a progression, and like now I never would have imagined that things would have been as heavy as they are now back then, because it was in '07, I set the new axle press record at 190, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much. Now I look back and I laugh because I've hit 270 in training, and another girl has hit 250. I mean, the weights that these women are pushing now it's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
And they're like 25, and I'm like 41. So yeah, it's crazy. I was telling one girl, I was kind of laughing. I'm like, she was 23. I'm like, I could be your mother. That's freaky.
But you're still whooping on them, so.
I'm trying. It's getting close, but I'm trying.
So you said you're gonna retire after your third show.
Sometime in those next three shows.
Sometime in those next 3 shows.
I know, like I've told him, and I've done a lot of like mental and a lot of heart to heart with myself, and I just said I will know when that time is right and I'm ready to walk away. So I mean, it could be when I win one of my next shows, I may be like, you know what, I'm like completely satisfied at this point, and I may walk away. Or I may be like, you know what, I'm gonna do all these 3 shows. I'm gonna do all this. I'm gonna finish it out. So I just, at this point, sometime in the next 40 weeks, I counted 40 weeks, sometime in the next 40 weeks. So
do you want to get involved with the strongman community outside of competing after that?
I do. So we have a pretty solid training crew here, and I've been really like kind of focused on like training them and teaching them and coaching, and I really do love that aspect of it, which I never liked it before. I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want to coach, I don't want to program. I just like, give me a list, put me out there, I'll do my thing, and I'm done. And now I'm noticing that I want to get more into the coaching side and stuff like that. So in fact, I just told Dion the other day, I said, when I retire, I said I'd like to still be involved in the women's side of it somehow. So I told her that we'd have a talk at some point and kind of see what that would entail. So we'll see. He laughs at me, but I don't know. I love the sport, and I've loved it for so long. It's been a part of my life for so long. So
no, it's been a part of all of our lives. Even the kids. Our kids are compete. Yeah. Our son competes now. His girlfriend competes. Our 11-year-old goes out there and trains with us. But it's kind of like I was coaching for so long, and then I finally told her I am like absolutely done with this. I am so done. I just want to walk away and do something different.
Yeah. And
I did, and then somebody contacted me. A friend of ours, Dale, said, "Hey, can you help me?" I started helping him. Next thing you know, we got 11 people here. Yeah. But she stepped up. Kristin stepped up, and when I wasn't available because of working or my training, she stepped up and did the coaching. So
that's awesome.
It kind of forced her into that.
Yeah, and I found out that I loved it. I really enjoy it. So it's exciting to like train them and teach them, and then take them to a show and have them perform, and you're like, yay! So it's fun.
Yeah, that definitely is great to see when your athletes succeed from you coaching them. Yeah. And so do you approach the athletes that you are coaching differently than you approach your own training?
Sometimes. It depends, because we have to take their skill level into account, but at the same time, the intensity is still there. I expect the same out of them that I expect out of Kristin. She expects the same out of them that she expects out of herself. So in that aspect, it's a little different. The training is what they do during the week is a little different. I recently helped one of the newer guys that came out with us. He sent me his workout. I looked at it and said, no, get rid of that. Sent me something else. I said, as you're getting closer, and I changed a couple things. He sent back. So after about 3 times, I told him, that looks good. You can handle this for the next few months. We'll see where you're at, and then reevaluate. You get a newer athlete can handle a lot more volume and do things. So to answer your question directly, we don't really handle the intensity or the coaching any different than when we coach Kristin. The training itself,
it's a learning curve.
The training itself, the actual programming is slightly different, but that's the only thing.
Okay. And so we were talking earlier a little bit about the coaching or lack of coaching among the strongman community. Kind of, what do you see the biggest problems with programming, either one of you, that a lot of people are messing up on when it comes to getting ready for a competition?
I think people feel that they need to do more. More. More is going to make me better. And it's actually almost the complete opposite. So I like to say train smarter, not harder. That's kind of been my philosophy for the last several years. And I think I watch these people on the internet, and they're like training heavy and like back to back, and they're doing so much, and they're training heavy up till a couple days before the show, and they get to a show and they fail, and then they wonder why.
Yeah.
It's science. I mean, it really is. It comes down to science, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the sport is evolved so much from when you were doing it all the time,
Yeah.
and then when I was doing it all the time, and there's other people. You know, we're talking about Mistel.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at things at a scientific approach, and I'm not talking about the chemical scientific approach. I'm talking about when it comes to intensity and volume, and how you let your central nervous system recover.
Mm-hmm.
Because powerlifting, yes, you hit a lot of heavy weights, and your central nervous system gets zapped. But when you hit a heavy deadlift, and then you go hit a heavy yoke, and a heavy stone, heavy log, I mean, you're doing 5 events that are moving, not static. So I think newer athletes aren't really in tune with the central nervous system and the way that it ties into intensity and volume. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think a lot of athletes lack.
And they also don't realize that like a farmer's as a deadlift. And if you just deadlift it heavy, and then you want to hit a heavy farmer's, and they're like, why can't I do this? But they don't realize that they're essentially the same thing, you know?
It's simple stuff that time will teach you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm older than you. I'm 42 years old. I've been lifting. It's scary since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of injuries. But because of those mistakes and those injuries, I'm able to tell the younger guys that are here, you're doing it wrong. Don't do that. And they're like, well, why? I'm like, well, because this is what's going to happen. Trust me. Okay? It's happened to me.
Hopefully they listen.
Some of them do. I mean, sometimes as an athlete, you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, you got to make the mistakes.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's funny because a lot of people I've talked to over the past month I've been traveling, said, all the seasoned guys say it's not a race, it's a long sprint.
Yep.
And it's either learn from my mistakes or let them make their own mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely. We all do.
Yep. But I think that's a big thing is, like you guys said, they're just trying to get so intense so fast. And like I was saying before, are you going to be here 5 years from now? Because that's how you got to look at it. That's how you got to plan your training is, am I going to be here 5 years from now?
Right.
Am I going to be able to make that long haul?
Well, I think, we were talking earlier too, I think what people aren't able to comprehend is a new athlete to strongman will progress very rapidly, especially when their technique gets better. They can progress rapidly over a period of 6 months or even a year. But at that point, when they stop progressing, they need to reevaluate what they're doing and then be a little smarter, so that way they can have the gradual progression and realize that training for 5 years isn't going to be ramped up, like this. It's going to be up, and then it's going to plateau off and then gradual. Where, I don't know, I mean, you tell me what you think. I mean, a lot of newer athletes will progress a lot faster because the skill that they acquire will help them get stronger, but their volume that they're taking on is new.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when I started doing strongman in the first 3 to 4 years, I was doing powerlifting before that, and I walked around like a fat 200, and I was like a lean 185. I gained like 20 pounds in the first 3 years just from doing strongman, and all my powerlifting lifts went up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I started strongman, training Rick Freitag and Team Boss, I thought I was, the big guy in my university gym pulling 315, 365, and then I left for the summer, and Rick said, by the end of the summer you should probably be pulling around 6 if you want to compete. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I went in and deadlifted every other day, and so with strongman itself, I just went from here to there and like that. And I think that is an issue, and I think one of the big things that I've seen is, new athletes, they have good equipment, they have a good gym and a team and more access to information, where, a lot of the guys in the past, this has kind of been a recurring theme, they didn't have that. They didn't have the gyms, they didn't have the standardized equipment. Pretty much it's gotten pretty standard between, Bartos, Beast Metals, and whoever else is out there right now. And so I think they are getting real good real fast. But then
They have access to all the equipment.
they have access, and they have, starting strongman, they have elite FTS, and but I think a lot of people are going to burn out soon, and that's kind of.
We've seen that over the years. They come up real fast, and then they just disappear.
Yeah.
Remember when we started, really, and when you started too, I'm sure, I know that you were you were training with whatchamacallit, the hardware at the hardware store, right?
Slater's.
At Slater's.
I trained with Team Boss.
With Team Boss,
Greg,
okay, so-
Brad Ardrey. But Slater would come and train with us a lot.
Okay,
too.
so you had that stuff, but I don't know what you. I think if I can remember correctly, a lot of us were always like calling people. Hey, do you got this piece of equipment? Can we come
Yeah.
train? Do you have this piece of equipment? Can we come train? Do you have this piece of equipment? Can we come train?
We used to drive up to LA.
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 hours each way on the weekend.
And now you go someplace and everybody's got every piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, I mean, honestly, at one point we had every piece of equipment you can think of.
That was in a
That was in a contest. I started selling pieces of equipment off when I realized that we could train around it, and that Kristin was efficient enough, or I was efficient enough at an event that we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I started selling stuff off, and now you see what we have, and what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
You know.
You're still producing, obviously a world champion, and
Yeah. Sometimes you got to go old school.
Like our yoke. It's kind of old school, but it works.
That yoke's been around for 11 years.
It was older than that because we got it from Freak Factory, remember?
Yes, and I modified it, so it's been around a long time.
A long time.
But it's been at this house.
11 years,
Yeah.
yeah. 11 years.
wow.
Had a few coats of
Started-
paint, but I always say if I can train on a really crappy yoke, then I can destroy a really nice yoke. So,
So what do you guys want to see for the future of strongman? I mean, what would you like to see in the future?
I mean, I'm happy seeing how it's progressing now, like
Yeah.
especially on the women's side. I mean, obviously the men's side, whatever, they've had their stuff for years, but on the women's side, I mean, that was one of the things I fought for years, and I would always call, Dion, I'd be like, all right, put us in a big venue, put us with the guys, like quit making us be by ourselves. And over these years, I've fought for everything that we've had. I've fought, and I've called her, and I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's really exciting to see, kind of where it's gone.
Yeah.
And where, now we have the pros, now we're in the big venues. I mean, now we're getting like the media coverage, they're making like strongman documentaries and stuff, so just to see it keep growing. And I think that just as the women perform, I mean, some of these women are absolutely amazing, and I think that now people are seeing that the women are capable of putting on as much of a show. And I mean, strongman's, it's about putting on a performance for the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Now they can see that the women can also produce that same kind of excitement for the crowd, and it's just, I don't know, I'm excited to see like the direction it's heading. I think one of the biggest things is I think the marketing.
Yeah.
I think that if there was better marketing, I think that the sport would probably grow a lot faster. I don't know how fast people in the sport say, oh, we like it how it is, but I mean, obviously, I think the more exposure you can get, the more you can get out there, the better everything's going to be. Because I mean, they're looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
You're considered a professional now, but if there's no money, there's really no pro shows, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm excited to see the direction it's headed for the women's side, for the men's side. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really paid too much attention to what's going on over there.
Yeah, and to be honest with
So-
you, once I stopped competing, I didn't pay much attention to the men's side. I really helped with the women's stuff. We promoted women-only contests,
Yeah.
sponsored women to go compete over in Scotland.
Yep. I've tried to do everything I can within my power to help other women and get them to other shows. And I get lots of messages and requests like to help them. Can you help me with can you look at my yoke video? Can you look at my log video? Can you give me tips and whatever? And I've always been very helpful in helping anybody I can, because I mean, I love the sport. I know what I've learned, and I know my knowledge, and I'm happy to pass it on to other people. So it's not a secret. Any little tip or trick that I've learned from
it's
other
getting to be
people.
a secret.
It's going to be a secret now. I'm not helping anybody. My mouth is sealed. Yeah, I don't know, it's exciting. And I was kind of retired after I won the Arnold in 2015, because at that point there was really nothing left. I'd won everything you could win. I'd had every record and everything. I had Guinness World Records. I've traveled the world. I'd pretty much done everything. I've filmed TV shows, which I've never been able to show because it's BBC and you can't show it. But I'd kind of done everything at that point, and I was just kind of like, there's nothing else for me to do.
Yeah.
And so after the Arnold 2015, he laughs at me, but I didn't work out for like 9 months, 8 months.
Yeah,
I literally did not train. And then I saw a post on Facebook, "World's Strongest Woman is coming back," and I was like, holy shit, I'm back. Because that was like the one last thing, and I told him, I'm like, if they ever bring World's Strongest Woman back, I'm in.
Yeah.
And they brought it back, and here I am, still here. So I took a 9-month break. I'm still here. So
Came back with a vengeance.
yeah. So honestly, at this point, I mean, I have one track mind. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. The other show's great and whatever, but I have one goal.
Where is that?
We don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
No.
Where are you hoping?
I'd love to have it in the U.S. I don't have to travel overseas. That's rough. It's rough to do that.
Yeah.
And last year I learned a lesson. I talked to a bunch of the pro men that have competed overseas a lot, and they told me what I did wrong in terms of travel. And so I'm not sharing that, but now I know. And looking back, I'm like, that would have made like such a big difference for me. But it is what it is.
That's another thing too. It's hard. A lot of the pro women, top level women that are doing well now, they're getting information from the top male pros.
Yeah.
So that's what
knowledge is power.
Yeah, absolutely, and
so.
more power to them. I mean, if they're doing it, then they're doing it the smart way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're reaching out and getting the information they need. But I mean, come on, the heavyweight male pros have been around a lot longer than these heavyweight women.
Yeah.
And so they have more knowledge to give. And now when they're giving this knowledge to these heavyweight women, even some of the middleweight women,
there's some freaking animals.
Yeah, as recently,
There's several of them that are.
But with that knowledge coming down from the heavyweight men to the women, it's things are going to change. I mean, I look to see things change within the next 6 months, and then maybe again in the next 9 months to a year after that. The things are going to change drastically, and the level of competition is going to be so close that
it's close now.
It's close now, but
yeah,
there's things that can be done as an athlete to put yourself up above them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to competition and strategy and stuff like that. But once everybody's on that same level playing field, as far as knowledge, there's going to be some game changers.
Yeah.
Upsets.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like we're getting so many more opportunities as American athletes to go overseas. There's just so much more than there was 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That you're gonna get guys coming out of the woodwork. And, guys, girls that want to go to England, want to go to Norway, wherever else. And
I will say this: I think that the level of competition in the U.S. is greater than it's ever been, both men and women. And that I think our American athletes, if given the opportunity, are better I mean, I'm probably going to get some heat for saying this, but they have the ability to be better athletes than the athletes across the pond.
Yeah.
Those athletes, in the UK, anywhere overseas are great athletes. Nothing against them or take anything from them, but our pool of athletes is so much bigger. So it's like being in a small high school with athletes to a larger high school. The more athletes you have, the more opportunities you have.
Yeah.
It's experience too.
So
So I think a lot of these women.
When you're across the pond and you're competing with 5 of the same guys all the time.
Yeah.
And then you got 50 guys or 50 girls over here, you're building better athletes much faster because there's much more competition.
Yeah.
That's just the facts. So hopefully, because I am American, I hope that we have more athletes go overseas and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
So, and not so dominant by other.
So you guys, I know one of my first competitions ever, actually the second year competing, it was probably like my third or fourth, was your competition down in San Diego, where I lost to Jerry Pritchett and Scott Porter.
Those are
do you
old
guys,
ones.
you ever plan on, that was a long time, I think it was 2009?
Yeah, 2008 I think.
It's 2008.
Jeez, yeah.
A long time ago.
So you ever plan on doing more competitions?
Promoting?
Promoting?
See, I want to.
You want to?
I want to promote a show, and I kind of had this cool venue, and I had like this plan, and I really wanted to do it, and I just got to convince this guy. It's a lot of work. Promoting is so much work. You don't make any money, and I mean, I like giving back to the sport. I mean, it's given me so much in my life, and I like giving back, and that's why I like doing it, and it's fun, but it's so much work.
I would love to promote another show.
Yeah.
I say that I wouldn't. I would love to, but the time has to be right. There's so many other things that are going on with work and family that I'm at a point where I'm not going to put any of that aside to do a strongman show. As much as I love strongman, as much as I love putting on shows and trying to make it the best show that I can.
You do a damn good job too.
But it has to be the right time.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to half-ass anything.
strongman in San Diego, I mean, for years it was just us. And now the sport has grown, and there's a lot of other, especially like LA and South, there's quite a few strongman gyms now. They're popping up all over the place. There's more promoters. There's one guy up in like Upland who's put on 3 shows in the last 6 or 9 months, and people are kind of gung-ho, and the sport's kind of taken off, I think, with CrossFit. And a lot of people like going to CrossFit, and they're like, oh, this is a lot of conditioning, and they're like, oh, strongman, I'm gonna come over here. And I think we've gotten a lot of crossover from CrossFit, and the sport's grown a ton, so you're just kind of getting more.
So that means if we do a show, you're gonna come compete in it.
Yeah, I'll come. Yeah, it was a good show. From what I remember, I mean, it's long, 9 years ago.
A long time ago. It was a good show.
It was a good show.
It was a long show. That I think we had.
Was that the one at World Gym?
Yes.
Or
619 muscle.
Yeah.
I think we had like 60 some athletes.
Yeah, that was a good show. I remember that was the first time I met Easton, Taylor, and Jerry. Yeah.
I think we were hoping for like 25 athletes.
About like 60.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest show at the time.
We killed the parking lot. They won't let us do anything there. We can't do it there anymore. They won't let us.
Yeah, that was the first time I came to San Diego, and it rained all weekend. I remember it was drizzling the whole time.
Yep.
What I was gonna say is about CrossFit. You guys have a lot of CrossFitters coming and saying they want to train with you guys, or?
When we had our gym, we were on like the starting strongman map and the stuff like that. I think they've since taken us off, because at this point we're just like basically like a private training facility, and we're very selective on who we let come over here. And this guy over here has the final say. So we have about 10 to 12 people here. That's a lot. For this small facility, it's a lot. But
they're not all at one time all the time. But when they are here, it's a lot. But they're individuals that put a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
And it's word of mouth, friends of friends, and that's it. I don't go seeking individuals. Kristin doesn't either.
yeah.
So we tend to get better athletes that way. When somebody comes to us, or somebody comes to me and says, hey Donnie, I got this guy that he's been lifting for a while, and I think he'd do okay. And I was just asked, okay, well, what are his numbers?
Yeah.
Because I mean that's important. I hate to sound shallow, but it's important. I don't want, for a male, I don't want him saying, oh well, he can deadlift 300 pounds and he can overhead press 100 pounds. And I mean, because really, it's strongman. I mean, I hate to sound like a douche canoe.
Yeah.
But I'll ask that, and then it's everything.
Especially when you have your driveway and a garage, and you don't have a giant training facility to bring everyone into. You have to have a flow, an ebb and flow to everything. Otherwise, it's just going to be.
Yeah, we actually, when we train, we typically break it up into 2 groups.
Okay.
So we'll have like the smaller females and like kind of beginners. We'll do stuff together and I'll oversee what they're doing, and then Kristin will train with the guys, and then I'll jump in there. But we usually separate it and run 2 separate groups, and then flip flop what everybody's doing.
Okay.
So
makes sense.
But yeah, I have been asked by CrossFit gyms to come in and do like strongman type seminar, like not strongman seminars, but like classes.
Yeah.
And so I have been in touch with a couple CrossFit gym owners that want me to start doing like classes. Right now I just don't. I'd love to do it, but I don't have the time with my own training, because at this point I have to be super serious for myself, and in order to accomplish my goals at this point. So all that kind of stuff's on the back burner right now, but when I'm done. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of CrossFit received a lot of hate, especially from strongman, and it's just been a funnel of people going into CrossFit, and they're like, oh, I like this, but I don't like this, and they go out, strongman, weightlifting, powerlifting.
Yeah.
It's helped those sports grow a lot. So.
It has. I mean, we'd start with nationals with like 10 or 15 women overall, and I think last year at nationals we had like 160. Yeah. And that's just the people that came, So I think there was more women than men at nationals last year.
Yeah.
It was huge. So, and I think a lot of it's CrossFit. They go into CrossFit, they're like, okay, I don't really like this.
Burpees.
Yeah, I don't like burpees, or I don't like box jumps, or whatever it is. And then like, I really liked carrying that keg, or those farmers were really fun. And then they're finding strongman, and then they're coming over, which is great. And I think that's why, it's been such a boom. There's so many more women now. So.
You guys got any last things you want to say? It's getting late, and you guys said there's burritos. So.
There's burritos. We're gonna have get him his first California burrito. He's never had one before.
Yeah. Excited.
Yeah, so it'll be good. So no, thanks for coming out, and you know, it's been a long, not long, but kind of long, 11, 12 years of competing, and I've had a lot of fun and traveled the world, and I mean, I've been to like 6 or 7 countries. I never thought I'd do that in my life. So it's been fun, and I'm almost done. So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Donnie, anything to say?
Nope. I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks,
I am
guys.
very thankful because I know I definitely wouldn't be where I am without him.
Well, I just want somebody to carry your shit.
Well, that, but I need someone to yell at me, and when I don't want to train, get my booty out there. So.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Yep. Thanks for coming.
Guys, I'll see you guys out on the road. Make sure you follow the sponsors, Lead FTS, Hate Brand Goods, and Train Strongman. And if you want to contact me to come to your gym, you can send me an email. All that information will be below. And I'll see you out there. Thanks.